Which sheep does the enemy attack? Is it the one with the 99 or is it the one that wanders off? It's the one that wanders off. But this stage of young adulthood is defined by intimacy versus isolation. And rest isn't just doing whatever you want. I think there is an effective way to rest. And for me, it is literally doing nothing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think that I've found tremendous freedom in realizing I can't want something more than somebody wants it for themselves.
The best gift I can give somebody is not solving it for them. It is showing them and helping them realize that they can do it. And I don't want people to become reliant on me as a therapist. My goal is to help them get out of my office. I want to work myself out of a job. That's what I tell my clients.
Mental health matters, and it's massive in the lives of young adults, in the lives of leaders, and in the lives of those that we lead. I'm Josiah Keneally. This is the Young Adults Today podcast, and today I'm joined by Mike Kerstetter, a Christian counselor. We talk, this is a powerful conversation, navigating loneliness and the loss of third spaces, how to cultivate real life community, caring for your mental health, and learning to walk with anxiety and exhaustion in light of God's promises. This is a powerful episode. So glad you're going to love this one. Please subscribe wherever you're listening, streaming, and we want to see you August 12th and 13th in Irvine, California. Join us and other leaders as the Young Adults Today gathers for the West Coast Leader Conference in Irvine, and we hope to see you there. The details are in the show notes. What's up, guys? Hope you're feeling alive. I'm Josiah Keneally. This is the Young Adults Today podcast, and joined today by Mike Kerstetter. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, Josiah, it's an honor to be here. Thanks for having me.
You bet, man. We're excited to talk with young adults, young leaders, pastors alike. And one of the questions that we ask every guest on this podcast is, why do you believe young adult ministry, discipling the next generation, the faith of the next generation, why is that so vital and important?
Yeah, well, for one, thanks for asking. And two, for one, I am a young adult still. And so this is very personal for me. And two, there's this theory of psychosocial stages by Eric Erickson. If you take a Psychology 101 class, you might have learned about it. But this stage of young adulthood is defined by intimacy versus isolation. So the stage before that, when you're a teenager, it's about who are you as a person. It's identity versus role confusion. Then when you become a young adult, you're asking the question, who are my people? Who am I going to be with? And a lot of who you are can be defined by who you're with. There's an old saying of, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And so why I'm passionate about young adults is that I want them to become the people that I want to be and who God is calling them to be. And first of all, when we talk about calling is first about who God is calling you to be, and who you're called to be is close to him. So when we think about calling, we often think, what am I supposed to do? Mm-hmm. And what you're supposed to do first is to be close to him. So I want to get that out of the way. And two, yeah, those relationships, finding your people is so important. And I feel like, especially nowadays, we've lost the third space. Have you heard of the third space before?
Passionate about third spaces. Examples, you're talking about Starbucks, you're talking about Planet Fitness, you're talking about, even like college campus could be a third space. As so many students are online in higher education right now, as also like so many workers are remote workers. So like the water cooler, the gathering spot, the copy room, those places don't exactly exist as much anymore.
No,
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I went into a Starbucks, and I don't drink coffee for one, but I went into a Starbucks, and it's the first one where they had no seating. I had never heard of that before. You just went in and got it, yeah. And that's amazing to me. Yeah, you're right. The elimination of the third space. So when you're a teenager, there are some third spaces that are naturally built in. Like you go to school, you go home, You've got church that your parents might want you to be plugged into. You've got a sport. Yeah, anything. Well, when you become a young adult, you're done with, especially when you're done with college, you've got work and you've got home. Now, if you're working from home, you've got one space, which is at home.
Yeah.
So how are you connecting with people? You're not. And I had a client a couple of years ago. I had never heard the term IRL before.
Oh, in real life.
In real life, that was the first time I heard it. And I asked, what is that? And I'm usually the last person to find out about these things. But we're living in an age where you have to discern now. You have to figure out when I'm talking to people, when they're talking about their friends, are they in person, face to face contact, or is it IRL in real life? And I really want young adults, the people that I'm meeting with, to find their third space, to find their people. And what I love about what you guys are doing is that you and Micah are providing that for them. And this is a time where people are searching for their people. And my hope is that their people will be the people of God, people that are seeking him, that want to be close to him.
My pastor, Nate Roosh, says that friends are like elevators, that they can bring you up or they can bring you down, and relatively quick, effectively. And
they can.
Mike, we're living in what I and many people call a friendship crisis.
100%.
And I know that I just said something, and what I mean to unpack it for a second, maybe the number one or two question that we get repeated, we really pay attention. It's like, if it's rush hour traffic and everyone's taking this exit, where's it going? Or if everyone's asking this question, and you know what it is? How do I make friends as an adult? Because it used to be built in on my college campus. It used to be built in sports teams or in high school or in plays or whatever, or at church. And I love what you said there. It is so true. And this is the clarion call of why young adult ministry is vital, of the spiritual needs of young adults, the relational needs. I mean, the book we read, Genesis, starts at the beginning of Scripture. It's not good for man to be alone. And you'd agree with that or disagree, and why?
That it's not good for man to be alone.
Yeah.
Oh, it's totally good for man to have. I mean, that's what God called good. Right? So it's not good for man to be alone. And which sheep does the enemy attack? Is it the one with the 99, or is it the one that wanders off? It's the one that wanders off. There are a lot of negative effects of being alone. But what are you more susceptible to when you're alone? Addiction, like pornography, drugs, hiding in your phone. Josiah, do you fly a lot?
Fair amount.
Fair amount?
Probably monthly.
When you get to a gate and you sit down, what's everybody doing?
Oh, it's an airport terminal. They're sitting back. They've got AirPods or giant Bose headphones in, noise canceling. Right. And they're like on a tablet or, They're
not connecting. So we live in the most virtually connected time ever, and yet we are the most lonely generation ever. I've seen studies that as low as 30, as high as 50% of people say that they're lonely. I've seen studies that say 1 in 4 people would say they don't have one good friend. That's tragic. And if you're alone, you're more susceptible to danger. You're more susceptible to being tripped up. The enemy goes after those people.
Okay. And I want to also just acknowledge 2026. We're partway through the year now, and AI seems to be here to stay. And its use is just kind of ubiquitous. It's like more and more people are, I mean, Claude and ChatGPT, they're also moving to a paid, like they're starting to add ads in.
I know they're gunning for my job, Josiah.
Okay, well, let's go there, because so many people and some listeners are like, okay, yeah, I talked about that last night with a young adult. Others might be like shocked by what I'm about to say, but the amount of people that name their AI as if it were a companion, a romantic partner, or a therapist is alarmingly high, the amount of people that are
Kind of,
participating.
it kind of reminds me of that movie with Joaquin Phoenix. I've never seen it. I just know what it's about. I think it's called Her, where he falls in love with this AI, this
Robot.
online robot. Yeah, interesting.
So I want to ask you, as part of the work that you do you call it therapy, Christian counseling? Talk about the work that you do.
Yeah, yeah. So both. So therapy really is the process of becoming the best person that
Hmm.
you can be. And it started in the 1890s. Most people are probably familiar with the father of psychology, Sigmund Freud.
Yep.
And he talked about a lot the subconscious, that a lot of what's happening is out of our awareness. Carl Jung uh, would ascribe to that as well to some extent. And then after that, you've got all these different branches of therapy, like looking at your thoughts, so cognitive therapy, behavior therapy, dialectical behavior therapy, Marshall Linehan. That's the type of therapy that I'm certified in. You've got different trauma approaches. So all these different therapies are branching out from psychoanalysis. Now, again, the process of therapy is becoming the best person you can be. So if you are working with me, my role is really as a mirror. What I want to do is hold up and have you look at yourself and look at, for one, what are your goals? And two, what's getting in the way? So an example would be when I talked at this men's advance uh, retreat that you and I went to, we both did a breakout. One of my suggestions, of course, you're going to say this at a Christian retreat, is to pray more and read your Bible more.
Yep.
But the point I made was, okay, you all knew that someone at some point was probably going to tell you you could pray more, you could read your Bible more. And if it were that easy, you would just do it. You wouldn't need to come up here for someone to tell you that.
So true.
So that means that there's something getting in the way.
Hmm.
That's the thing that needs to be addressed. So this talk I gave was about shame. And so what I said was, okay, you're coming in. Most people come in because there's some relationship distress. Something's not going right about your life. Like I had a client who came in and said, I want to exercise more and I want to be more active.
Sure.
Okay. So we spent months trying to figure out, okay, what are some things that you can do to be more active? And every week it was the same story, which was I couldn't do it. And so it got a little frustrating because, for one, you want to see this guy hit his goals. And two, there's a part of you that's wondering, is there something that I, as a counselor, am not doing? And that's a real thing for us as counselors, because we want everyone to hit their goals. So finally, I just asked him, because I didn't really know what else to say. Okay, how confident are you that you can do these things? And he got really quiet. He looked down and said, I'm not confident at all. There's no hope.
Mm.
Okay, so that's the thing that needs to be addressed.
A
Not that you
limiting
want to
belief.
exercise more. Yeah, we need to address the hopelessness, the sadness, whatever it is that's going on. So that was my point. There's a lot more going on beneath than just the initial problem that you're experiencing. And so that's what I try to address in therapy with people, of what's getting in the way. Otherwise, your goals, you would just do them. Now, how I work, for one, I want people to feel understood. So the
Mm-hmm.
first thing I'm doing is I'm trying to develop trust with somebody. Most people, I mean, they're telling me more things about themselves in an hour
Mm.
than anyone else will ever know about them
Mm.
in their entire life. And so, for one, it's an honor to do that. And two, I want to take great care with that, because it can take a lot of strength, a lot of courage to even just reach out for help
I agree.
in the first place. I heard a study that it takes people 10 to 12 months to finally make the decision
Wow.
to go see a counselor. Yeah. And so counseling, again, is about helping you see what's getting in the way, helping you become the best person that you can be. Now, with Christian counseling, there's two things I try to do. Sometimes it's very explicit, where we're praying, we're talking, we're getting into the word. And then there's another, I call it Christian counseling. The people that I'm meeting with don't know it's Christian counseling to me, though, because I think people intuitively know that there's something that they're missing. In the Christian circle, we'd call it the God-shaped hole. in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of the skills that I teach people, they know that there's something missing. And so as much as I want to encourage them, and if someone who's not a believer would want to convince them that they are good enough, this might sound bad, but I'm actually trying to do the opposite.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to show them that you're not good enough and that you need something greater than yourself. It kind of reminds me, not to go off too much on a tangent. There's this scene in The Office where Michael's talking about grief. Someone passed away that he knew, and he said, "Yeah, if I can get them depressed, I'll have done my job." But but the point is, I want them to see that they need something greater than themselves. Like, what's the solution going to be?
Yep.
Now, that solution then has to be something that's unchanging. And Scripture would talk about the solid rock. And so if I can get people to see that they need something greater than themselves, and that the solutions that they're going to, they might in a transient way be helpful. It's not going to be lasting, though. To me, that's Christian counseling as well. That's more of the approach that I take, because most of the people I'm meeting with right now are agnostic. They believe that there could be something, but they're not sure, and they might believe that there's no way of totally knowing. So that would be a peek inside my office. I also want to find a balance between validating you and also challenging you.
Yeah.
I really try to hold that balance, because if I'm only validating you, that would be like being stuck at the gas station and filling up, but never going anywhere.
Very good.
And if I'm only challenging you, we're flooring it. But at some point, we're going to run out of gas, and you're probably going to get frustrated with me because I'm not taking the time to understand you. So I hope that answers your question, but that's a peek inside my office. If someone were meeting with me, what they could expect.
Wow. Well, to tie a little bit of it together just with my own life and experiences and stories and struggles, is I look at the uniqueness of being in a people facing role like pastoral ministry or even medical practices is very similar. The service industry, like, you know, it's like a lot of, like, my wife, for example, she loves furniture or hobbies that there's like a start and a midway point and a completion, and you see the tangible results. And I think ministry we love it because of the people, and some of the weight that maybe a pastor or young adult ministry leader carries is like, there's people moving away, there's ungrieved losses, there's, it's all temporary, it's all for a season. And so you sometimes invest deeply into a college student or a young adult's life, and you might not see the fruit or the, like, did I make a difference? Was I faithful? And so I think just some of the people nature, it's a relational type of role. And I think with it, it's so beautiful. And I think sometimes relationships are complicated or challenging.
And you and Micah probably feel that to some extent, I'd imagine, don't you?
Totally. And I found tremendous healing and benefit in having counseling, Christian counseling, therapy in my life that did hold up a mirror in certain seasons. And I found that, like, for me, it took some outward struggles, challenges, overwhelm sometimes. And then I've learned about delayed stress. And sometimes, okay, you get married, you don't feel the stress that day. You feel it in like 3 to 6 months, or you move. You feel excitement at first. But sometimes in ministry or life, I'm just talking to the young adult ministry leader, sometimes you don't feel the stress of a funeral for a few months or for a little bit. And when that overwhelm or delayed stress, outward pressure, you feel it inward, I think that's a great time to ask these types of questions and have these conversations. But I do want to talk about
100%.
I want to talk.
There's a line before we get there of, I wish I could remember who I heard it from, but he said there are two types of people in the world: those who are getting counseling and those who need it. And it's great to go even if the house is on fire. It's actually more effective to go before the house is on fire, rather than trying to clean something up. You're building something. I see most people when the house is on fire, particularly marriages. When there are marriages that are on fire, boy, it's hard to work with that. Not impossible. There's just a lot of hurt that needs to be mitigated. So yeah, I've heard that line. There's two types of people: those who are getting counseling and those who need it.
Agreed. And maybe this is a poor analogy, but I just think of like your oil changes, your tire rotations, the basic maintenance. Do you liken mind maintenance, soul maintenance, spiritual maintenance? Is that kind of what you're getting at? Is like you could have a crisis if you never change your oil for like 30,000 miles and now the engine's exploding, it is on fire. Are you saying that that is similar to our minds, our bodies, our souls, our beings?
Oh, absolutely. Josiah, what kind of car do you drive? Or let me better yet, what's your if you could buy one car, what would it be?
You know,
Besides a Tesla, because it's got to have an engine.
okay,
Otherwise the
I
analogy won't make sense.
respect Teslas in that, but it's hard for me to beat like, yeah, muscle cars are cool. Porsche is my dream car as a kid, but in this season, an F-150, let's go.
An F-150. Okay, so let's say you've got your new F-150.
Yeah.
Let's say it's got a great sunroof, so you can have your hands flying up in the air or something. Like you can show off. And you're so excited about this F-150 that you decide, you know what, I'm gonna go 90 miles per hour,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
And so you do that for a while, and it's fun. But all of a sudden, you see a check engine light come on. Then you
Whoa.
go, nope, I'm still going. I'm still going. And then you see, in our car, it's a little wrench that says, hey, you need an oil change.
Yep.
And you look at that and you go, I'm still going to keep going. Well, in a minute, maybe you've got the tire pressure light comes on. And then you've got all these different lights that are coming on, and you're choosing still to ignore that. Of course, you're going to blow out your engine. Something's going to
Totally.
happen. Right? Yeah.
So what are the warning lights? Because I believe God is kind and he's merciful. And if we do blow it and blow up an engine, look at Samson. His hair grew back. So there's a restoration and resurrection story. I believe that's always possible. There's always grace. But I think God in his kindness and mercy does give us a oil pressure light, a wrench light that I've ignored at times. What are the
Yeah.
most common, if you could maybe one or two or a few, what are a few warning lights on the dash for young leaders and pastors to look for?
Yeah, it would depend on the person because
Mhm.
everyone's just going to be a little bit different. So I can speak to me, and maybe you could speak to yourself too if you've
You bet.
learned what your
You
your
bet.
warning signs are.
Yeah.
For me, if I'm moving fast and I'm never stopping, just like the car analogy, I'm going from task to task to task, and I'm taking no time to rest. That's a warning sign. And rest isn't just doing whatever you want. I think there is an effective way to rest. And for me, it is literally doing nothing. I think some people think that rest is doing whatever you want. And so you go on your phone and you watch
Mm.
TV. And not that those things are wrong. In fact, it's healthy to do things you enjoy.
Yep.
But when you're going from task to task to task to task, you are demanding that your brain focus specifically on one thing and one thing only. And so when you're doing your phone and stuff, even though it might feel a little more mindless, you're still demanding that your brain focus on that one thing. And I need to give my brain time to do whatever you want. Kind of like a kid, if you demanded that your daughter, Josiah, that she do this and this and this and this and this, and you give her no break, you're going to wear her out.
Oh yeah.
And so I have to treat my brain, my body like that, where I sit down and even if I'm thinking about things, I'm not getting mad at it or I'm not judging myself for where my brain's going. I'll allow myself to think about it. But it just needs that free space to think. There's actually there's a circuit of your brain called your default mode network is what it's called. And this is your rest state. And that's what I think people could do to help. And so my warning sign is when I'm not doing that.
Mm.
And so what'll also happen in my thinking is it'll
Yep.
get more rigid
Mm-hmm.
and it'll get more extreme. So I'll start painting things in black and white, all or nothing. I talked about this at my Men's Advance breakout too. I might say I'm a bad father. I'm a bad husband. And then sometimes I can get really obsessive about one thing. I don't know if anybody else experiences this, but last year when I had some mental health issues, I got really obsessive about the lawn. And if anything got in the way of me working on the lawn, I got really upset by it.
Mm.
And so I don't know if anyone else has experienced that or if you've experienced that, Josiah.
Sure.
But I get really obsessive about one thing. And it changes too. One time it was about the lawn. I know it happened recently, but I can't remember what it was about. But the point is, that's what happens to my thinking. So those are some of my warning signs. Another one too, and I think a lot of men experience this as well. I start to withdraw. I get really quiet. I isolate, and I don't want anyone to come near me. Those are my warning signs too.
Oh my gosh. I think mine might be similar in some ways. And here I wrote 4. That you go in first. Thank you for that, Mike, because it gave me permission. And I hope this conversation gives the listener permission to just evaluate what we're doing. Like, hey, are there any warning signs blinking? I think for me, numero uno is no margin. And if I'm like running late, hurry, stressed, overscheduled, those types of things. The other one is control. And I thought of the lawn, like there's moments where I'm impatient or want control, and I can't always control things, even the lawn. Like I can put in effort.
So that sounds like anxiety to me. So I'm curious, when you get anxious, do you go more into control or do you go more into avoid?
Whenever possible. Probably control then avoid. Yep.
So I'm the opposite. I avoid as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the other side, other times I control too, like the lawn. So it's not an either or, it just depends.
Yeah.
And I think maybe depending on the situation, when we might lean towards one or the other.
Yep. The only other red light that I've realized in my mind, I've wasted so much time, thinking power, energy, and life, just ruminating too much on the thoughts or opinions of others, whether real or imagined.
Dude, I am so glad you brought that up, because I had just thought about that as right before you said that. Another one of my warning signs is exactly the same, but there's a term for it. It's self-differentiation.
Okay.
When I start taking responsibility for other people's thoughts, their feelings, their beliefs, their attitudes, that is going to drive me crazy. That's going to wear me out. So I'll give you an example. When I have a client that comes into my office, take the guy that wants to become more active and work out more.
Yeah.
And for months he would come in and he would say, I didn't do what you had asked me to do. Now, early in my career, if I would have heard that, I would have stopped and thought, okay, what I gave him didn't work. I need to figure something out. I need to figure out how I'm going to help him. And I'd start to really rev myself up and become anxious because I'm seeing what he's doing as my failure. And if I would just give him the right thing to do, his life would be better. And so I am taking, it's called overfunctioning as well. I am taking the onus of responsibility off of him, putting it on my shoulders and carrying the load that really he's meant to carry. But because I'm anxious and because I'm feeling like I'm not a skilled counselor, I'm putting that on myself. Now what I've learned to do, and I've had great mentorship that's helped me with this. Now when I do, if he comes back to me and says the same thing, it's almost like he's hitting the ball into my court. And instead of holding on to it, I hit it back. So you might say, okay, this didn't work. So I might ask a question, okay, and we've been at this for a little while. You've been at this for a little while. Something's getting in the way. What's going on? I'm putting it back in his court. And when people are in high distress, that's what they naturally do. They want somebody to help them figure it out, or they want somebody to figure it out for them because it feels like too much for them. And what you have to be really careful of, pastors as well, any sort of leaders, you have to be careful of not taking the responsibility on yourself. Now, you can be responsible to them.
Yep.
And I am. And I'm not responsible for them.
Yep.
The best gift I can give somebody is not solving it for them. It is showing them and helping them realize that they can do it. And I don't want people to become reliant on me
That's
as a
good.
therapist. My goal is to help them get out of my office. I want to work myself out of a job. That's what I tell my clients. But if I'm solving things for them and I'm putting that responsibility on myself, two things happen. One, the person I'm meeting with, my client, isn't going to get better. Or if they are, it's going to be transient. And if they have a problem, they're going to come running back to me. And two, I'm going to burn out. I'm going to get compassion fatigue. And my dad would say, as a leader, especially in church ministry like you, Josiah,
Yep.
you've got to have thick skin and a tender heart. Well, if you start taking things on that aren't meant to be yours to take on, you put that responsibility on, you're going to quickly have thin skin and a hard heart.
Oof.
And that's happened to me. So I'd be curious if you've noticed that in your life, Josiah, if anything like that is you've experienced.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think that I found tremendous freedom in realizing I can't want something more than somebody wants it for themselves. And I think similarly, uh, like one area that, like, I don't know if it's age, I don't know if it's wisdom or experience or what, but words or criticism used to cripple me.
Oh,
And encouragement might have gone to my head the younger I've been. And so, like, I can think of something this past week that was said to me and about me that I would have been devastated by a decade ago.
yeah.
And it bothered me for 30 minutes. And somehow I just, I did let it go. But
Yeah.
I think having some tools, putting thoughts in their place, um, those things have helped me. And
Yeah.
I haven't arrived. I'm not saying I'm the hero. I'm just saying, like, whoa, like those things used to take me out and they were debilitating. And now, yeah, they bother me, but
Well,
it's
they're
not
hurt.
be
Yeah, they're hurtful.
yeah.
You make a good distinction though, Josiah, is that just because you are hearing things and you're not taking responsibility for people, it's not that you don't care. I mean, hurtful things are still hurtful.
Mm-hmm.
There's just an and after that, and it's not ultimately my responsibility. So this might sound callous. I don't mean it this way, but if somebody has a problem with me, for one, I encourage them to tell me right away.
Yeah.
And two, if they don't like the work I'm doing, instead of freaking out or getting really freaking out's not the right word. Instead of getting really anxious about it or wondering what I should have done better,
Yeah.
it still hurts, and they can do that, and that's okay. You know who's the master at self differentiation? Christ,
Mm.
Jesus. Do you remember in the Gospel of John, he's giving the sermon? I believe it's John 8, and then he said, I can't remember exactly what he says, but then the people who are listening to him didn't like what he said, and many of them left. And he asked Peter, "Are you guys going?" And Peter says, "Where am I? Where else am I supposed to go?" If Jesus were taking the responsibility of others onto himself, he would see what happened and go, "Shoot, I messed up. I better go make sure that they like me." So he might go apologize. Hey, I'm sorry. Maybe I didn't mean it like that. Like just come back. No, he didn't. He doesn't do that.
Wow.
And that's what I want to be like. And he's gracious with it. It's not like he's
Good.
callous and saying, "Well, if you don't like it, too bad for you." So there's a lot of grace behind it. And he lets people walk if they want to walk.
Mm.
He
Mm.
doesn't put that burden on himself.
Mm. Man, that is like I pray for the listener today, help, health, healing, and hope in any area of your life that's broken, that you are anxious about, overwhelmed by, that maybe there's some things that are getting in the way of your goals. And this conversation can shine a spotlight on maybe just a few of those things. But AI has become so dominant in our culture, and we said that we were going to get there. So I do,
I know.
for the listener's sake, I want to get there. And you know, what are your thoughts on so many people using or maybe becoming dependent on ChatGPT for romance, for
Yeah.
air quotes, friendship,
Yeah.
or even therapy.
Yeah. I'm actually really interested to get your thoughts too. There was a study done in the 1950s, and I wish I could remember his name. I encourage you to look it up on your own, though. They did a study with butterflies, and what they did was they took a piece of cardboard and they painted it to look like a female butterfly. And so they had the real butterfly go and try to mate with this cardboard. Okay, so then what they did after that was they grabbed a real one, like a real mate, and then the cardboard one. And what they found was that the the first butterfly, the one that chose the cardboard, continued to choose that one. So
Mm.
rather than choosing the real thing, it chose the cardboard box. So
Wow.
it traded the real experience for the fake one.
Mm.
So two reasons I think. One, because it's easier. It's easier to be able to. There's less work that's involved
Sure.
in doing that. And two, once you do that, the real thing starts to feel or look unappealing
Mm.
because it takes more work. Have you seen? You've seen the movie Wall-E. I'm going to assume you've seen the movie Wall-E.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Eva. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Eva.
It's
By the
coming
way,
back. Yep.
it would be a good idea. I would encourage you and Mike at some point to do like a top 3 Pixar movie. That would be an interesting podcast idea for you. Just throwing that out there.
I'm writing it
Yeah,
down.
Pixar. But in that movie, you notice that the people on that ship, I don't know what it's called, but they outsourced everything. They weren't doing anything anymore.
Mm.
There's even a scene where someone's golfing, but they're not golfing. They're just swiping their finger up, and the golf club hits it for them. There's even when people are getting their haircuts, they've got these barbers, but they're robots, and they're programmed to say, "I know, honey, I know," regardless of what the person is saying.
Oh my gosh.
So going back to that butterfly example, you trade the real thing for the fake
Yep.
thing,
Yep.
and the skills that you would develop in, say, a romantic partner, right, that takes work. It takes, for one, being able to read the room, being able to read somebody's body language, being able to have conversation back and forth, negotiating. Well, if you've got something like AI, you don't have to do any of that. It's just there for you, and you can make it do whatever you want to do. There's no growth involved with that. And the more that you get what you want, in a sense, out of the fake thing, you are losing out on the real thing, which would be more fulfilling, and it's going to help you become more of the person that you're called to be. Now, there's another study done, Josiah, and this is from The Anxious Generation by
Yeah.
Jonathan Haidt.
Amazing
And
book.
he's got 2 great books, actually. I read the first one, The Coddling of the American Mind. Him and Greg Lukanoff did that one.
Mm-hmm.
But the biosphere example, there's this biosphere in Arizona, and they were trying to just grow a bunch of life. So plants, I don't know, they had trees, they had different grass. And so everything started to grow, and including the trees. But at some point, the trees died, and they couldn't figure out why for a while. Well, after doing some research, they figured out that what they couldn't replicate, or didn't replicate rather, was the wind. And so the wind would signal to the tree that it needed to grow deeper roots so that it could withstand the elements, the wind. And that's like us. If we don't put ourselves in positions where we need to grow, we're not going to. And that's exactly what the anxious generation is talking about, is that we need to expose ourselves to things that are going to force us to grow. That we don't accidentally fall into the people we want to be.
Mm.
It doesn't happen that way. All the things that are worth doing, they don't just automatically happen. It takes work. If you're not putting yourselves in positions to do that, though, you're not developing roots. Think about it like exercising too. If you don't go and squat, for example. I enjoy squatting. You wouldn't know by looking at my legs, but I do. If you don't go and do that, and instead you're sitting on your couch, what's going to happen to your legs?
Atrophy.
They're going to atrophy.
Yeah.
It's exactly like that. We need people that are willing to do the hard things. We need people that are willing to put themselves in positions to grow. Do you remember the Google Gemini commercial that came out, and they're all talking to Gemini like it's a friend?
Mm-hmm.
That greatly concerns me.
Why?
What were you thought? Well, it concerned me because it was exactly what I just talked about.
Yep.
Because our brains are wired to choose the thing that's going to be easiest. Efficiency is the name of the game for our brains. Anything that we can find to make things easier, our brains are going to naturally choose that. And it takes work to do the things that are going to take more effort. And so when I saw that commercial, I went, I hope this isn't true, but I believe that we're going to get more and more lonely because that's right there. It's easy and it makes sense too.
Man, I forget what year it was, but I think it all began with the ATM. It used to be you went to the bank and certain people had the key and the change and the coins and the cash, and you had to wait in line to like cash the check. But as I study, Mike, it kind of all began at the ATM. It got rid of the small talk, the waiting in line, the patience, and then pretty soon it's pay at the pump, gas. It's the name of the game is convenience, and pretty soon Grubhub, which I actually don't have a problem with. Sometimes you're in a hurry, and it's like nice to have a Target order delivered or delivery services, and then but soon, like I don't know if you've seen Waymos rolling around, like these cars that are autonomous. So it's not driven by a human being. It's a robot driving, and you can download the Waymo app, and in the like San Francisco, Phoenix, they're in Phoenix and certain states, and they're spreading like Waymo, WAYMO.
Would you trust that? Would you do that?
I was on a trip and my wife did not want to get in. I wanted to try it just once because I was curious about it. And I think I'm a curious person. So like, I think that there's naturally a curiosity to Gemini. Like what are its powers? Like I know John Piper, he asked ChatGPT to write a prayer, but there's a difference between words and your being crying out to God, like ChatGPT, write an eloquent prayer. Same with Gemini, same with Claude, but it's different, and it's no different than like the two guys that are at the temple, and one had like lip service to God. I thank you that I'm not like him. I thank you that I'm so glorious and awesome. And then Jesus tells a story of this man who just said, dear God, have mercy on me, a sinner. And he was the one that went away justified.
That was the scripture I used for my breakout of what to do with shame. It's interesting you bring that up. First of all, I'm with your wife. I would not get in that car. San Francisco. I'm amazed that you're here today. It's by God's grace that you're here.
Me?
Yeah. You're getting into a car that's being driven by a robot?
Right. I know. And so, you had asked me my thoughts on like AI. I think that, it's similar to like not every AI is, some of them are more useful and helpful than others. For example, this podcast conversation, if I wanted, we already had it. We wrote questions, we scheduled it, which, you can schedule with Calendly, and that's AI, saves you a few back and forth. So I don't have issues with some tools or a transcription, but if I write the next book that we put out, I don't want ChatGPT's fingerprints on it.
Yeah. 100%. It reminds me of 1 Corinthians 6. And Paul is talking about, you'll say everything is beneficial, but not everything is permissible. Or you say everything is permissible, but I won't be mastered by anything. I think that's something that people would need to ask themselves. Are you being mastered by AI? Are you depending on that? And you're exactly right about presence. 70 to 80% of our communication is nonverbal. So
Whoa.
body language is what you're perceiving face to face. You're losing a lot of that when you're using AI.
Mm.
My daughter, they just went up to my parents, their grandparents' house, and she was afraid of sleeping alone in one of those rooms because she doesn't normally do that. And so she asked, "Can I sleep? Can I sleep with Carter in his room?" And I looked at her and said, "Well, you'll both be asleep, so it's not like you'll be talking. Like, you better not be making a stir at Grandma and Grandpa's house, or they're never going to let you back, which means that we're not going to get a day to ourselves again." So I'm like, "Why do you want to do that?" And she said, "I just feel better with him in the room.
Yep.
I feel safer
Yeah.
with him in the room." Okay, that's presence.
Hmm.
AI can't replicate presence. I haven't heard of anyone going to bed needing some sort of presence, going, "Wow, I am so grateful that I've got AI to accompany me to bed right now."
Whoa.
Maybe they're out there, but it can't replicate that.
You're right. You're right. And bring it back to the banks. Banks are empty because of ATMs. And there's one right over at Mall of America. I think it's the Capital One Cafe. And I think churches, pastors, leaders, listeners, we all can learn a thing or two because of the word you just said, presence. And they realize that nobody, like, I don't go to the bank. I can think of like one time in the past 5 years to like actually write a check or go inside a bank lobby. Like, but I'm not even a customer there except I buy their coffee. And what they realized is their bank buildings are empty. So they started doing like cafes where you can
Yeah.
also apply for a checking account and there's a discount, I think, if you do. But
What
if
a
you
great
need,
idea.
yeah, if you need, and so I'm thinking of the church, of the pastor who's like, okay, my kids are in isolation. The next generation, our community is experiencing so much isolation out there. What if we put together a third space? What if we put together some community nights, a home hang? It's like old fashioned to say this, whether you're from Minnesota and you say hot dish or casserole from other parts of the country. But man, I think the art of like dropping by somebody's house and showing up
Mm-hmm.
for them, whether it's they had a baby and you bring them a meal or some diapers, more than just the gesture, my takeaway, Mike, is being willing to show up, being willing to be
Yeah.
present. Um, Gosh, are you cool
And
if we
not
put,
just, yeah, and not just in body, but also in mind and spirit too, with your feelings. But I have ADHD, so focus is something that's particularly challenging for me
mhm,
and my poor wife. But when my mind is bouncing around, like, I can be in the room physically, or if I'm anxious too, I'm thinking about things that are coming up that are concerning me. Or if I'm depressed, I'm looking in the past and just feeling regretful, like totally, completely being present. And we've lost that, I think, as a culture. I'm curious, can you guess how long the average attention span is right now?
I'm perplexed because you got some that watch 7-second TikToks and others that watch Joe Rogan supposedly for 3.5 hours. But
Average.
um,
Average.
but I think it's just background noise to a lot of people. I'd say
Yeah.
attention span, is it a minute for every year old you are?
Right now, no, you're way too high. I'm talking deliberate, intentional thinking about one thing.
Whoa, okay. No clue.
It's 8 seconds.
Is it eight
Eight to
seconds?
10 seconds. Yeah. There was another study that came out that for college kids, their ability to focus on one task without going to the other one, about 23 seconds.
Mm,
For adults, it's about 3 minutes.
wow.
Ouch.
Wow.
Yeah. And I feel that in my own life too.
Yep. I feel that like I'm embarrassed to tell you how many, or the listener, how many open tabs are at the bottom of my laptop or at the top of my internet screen. But I will come back to those things. It's just like there's a few responsibilities in my life, but if I'm not at my worst, Mike, I leave my phone on and I carry it with me and then it bleeds into dinner time, bedtime, family
Mm-hmm.
time. and then my feet are here, but my mind is somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, if we go on a family trip or a family night, or even just trying to get better at after work, like with a component of our work from home at times, it's a struggle for me. But if I can put in that closet over there my phone and not check it till bedtime, like, I feel healthier. I feel lighter. I have more laughter and more joy and
Mm-hmm.
way lower of a resting heartbeat.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't surprise me at all.
Really.
No, not at all. Tell me why that doesn't surprise you, or why it wouldn't surprise me. Step into my
Um,
office for a second, Josiah.
I think that it's the world we live in. Like, there's not many people without an iPhone. If they do, they have an Android, and they're that person that has the green bubble of the text instead of blue. But like, I think it's anxious generation isn't necessarily an age. It's more like the culture that we live in, anxious culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guilty of that. Like, I participate at times. And so, why am I surprised that, this phone is a magnet that brings people far away close, but pushes the people close up and away, you
Yeah.
know?
It seems like today, and I feel this in my own life, that we value production, what you've done over all things. That's almost like that's the currency.
Mm,
If you were in a room of people, the question is, well, what have you done today? And I felt this in my own life, where if I didn't do anything, it was, well, you wasted the day. What are you doing?
mm-hmm.
I think the pursuit of production is void of peace, though.
Wow.
Can you have that? Can you have the pursuit of production of I have to do, and experience peace? And I think the phone is just a pathway there, a very accessible and a very addicting one at that. Yeah, I think that the pursuit of production is void of peace. And I think that's why you're feeling better, because it's almost like this weight has lifted off of you, of the pressure of I have to do all these things.
Yep.
It's funny you bring up the tabs, Josiah, because now I'll as much as I can, I'll only have one tab open. And it's a reminder for myself to do one thing at a time.
Man,
And
that's
I am not,
amazing.
well, it's really hard, especially if there's a lot that you've got to do. And in my life, I want to move at my own pace as much as I can. Sometimes it's you have to do things. There's deadlines, but I don't want the expectation of other people to drive how fast I'm going to live my life or how I'm going to do things. And people can learn that I'm going to go slower on things. I'm not going to get to you exactly when you want me to. And there's a reason for that. And that goes back to self-differentiation.
Mm, mm. This is deep, Mike. And how we usually close is 5 minutes on the clock, 5 rapid fire. Are you up for that if we go there?
Let's go. I'm ready.
So many takeaways for this conversation, but maybe what's something that every person needs to hear about their mental health today?
Yeah, I think we just talked about it, which is slow down. You talked about driving your F-150 90 miles per hour, right? Or I suppose I did. All right, so my question is, if your life were a car, how fast are you slamming on the gas pedal? And if you're slamming on it, for one, you're missing a lot of things around you. I mean, I can't imagine how many moments I've missed
Yep,
because I
same.
was so busy on looking
Yeah.
at, here's where I'm going. Well, if you're moving like that, well, of course you're going to be stressed. Of course you're going to be anxious because your body wasn't meant to do that. So that would be, if I could leave people with one thing, that's really been the theme of my life the last couple of months, is just learning how to slow down.
Mm,
Yeah, slow down. And again, if that's hard for you, you got to ask yourself what's getting in the way.
wow. Wow. A theme of our conversation today. If somebody is experiencing anxiety constantly, where should they start?
Sure. Like if they were in a session with me, what would I tell them to do first?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. I'd have them look at their relationship with anxiety. Now, most people that come in, they're anxious and they don't like that they're anxious. So not only are they feeling anxious, now they're judging themselves for it. Everyone has a unique relationship with their feelings. I think a lot of Christians fall into this too. They expect that. I don't mean to put everybody in one basket, but generally speaking, they expect that God doesn't want them to feel what they're feeling. That if they're anxious, that means they're not a good Christian. I mean, I've had a client that came in and it was like a tape recorder. She would just keep saying, I'm supposed to be a good Christian woman. I'm supposed to be a good Christian woman. I'm not supposed to have these feelings. And so I would look at that and say, how are you treating anxiety? If you're treating anxiety like you hate it, right, naturally the things that you judge, they show up in your life more. It's almost like you're going to do a little experiment. If Josiah, don't think about elephants.
That's so hard.
There you go, right? Well, that's what you're going to do. When we do that to anxiety, it's going to show up more. So I would examine how are you treating anxiety? And then Inside Out 2 has a great, I mean, if you watch that movie, it'll help. Mm-hmm. It'll help show what to do. That's where I typically start with people. And then I'll talk about your body's revving up when you're anxious. So let's do some things to help it slow down. And then we would move on from there. We'd look at what are you seeing in the future that is scaring you? How do you know that's, I mean, how accurate is that? What's the likelihood that would happen? Can you re-script that? And then when you're anxious, you do one of two things. We talked about you control or you avoid. So if you're avoiding, you lean forward, you approach. If you're controlling, you're learning how to step back and let go.
Wow.
So in a nutshell, that's what I would try to help somebody do.
Beautiful, and so practical. Okay, if you could ask and become the host of the Young Adults Today podcast, what's one question you'd want to ask me?
You ready for this? We talked about it. I got a serious one, a non-serious one.
Bring them.
All right, so we talked about Pixar. You only can watch one Pixar movie for the rest of your life. Which one is that?
Oh my gosh. Should it be this hard?
Wow. There's lots of good ones. Of course it's going to be hard.
I would... man. Okay.
I've thought about this a lot.
Man, the Toy Story comes to mind as a fun one. I think Bug's Life.
Yeah, very underrated. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like one of my first Pixar movies I ever remember as a kid. So I'd probably use one of those again.
Very underrated. My dad loves Bug's Life, and he'll use that phrase, very underrated. Yeah, I think Toy Story 1 or 2, I'm with you. That would have to be one of them. It's
up there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, same question in reverse. Favorite Pixar? Because you brought it up.
Yeah, no, I would say, boy, there's something that's just so brilliant about having Buzz think that he's a real space ranger. I mean, that never gets old to me. I mean, that is gold. I think I would choose that one.
Okay.
Just the innocence of that would be mine. Okay, so now a more serious answer. What's something that you are proud of yourself for recently? And what's something that you would like to work harder at moving forward? So both and there.
Yeah. It came to mind first, but the thing I want to work harder at is, closing a few of these tabs on my computer and internet, focusing because it sounds less anxious to me. And then truly, like I've got a few rhythms started, but sticking with discipline of the hours I don't touch my phone, because my life is better, my mind is better, and my relationships at home and with my family that matter most to me, they're better. And so that's what I would want to work more on. And then one thing that I'm proud of recently.
So real quick, did you notice that you went immediately into what you could do better?
Yep.
just pointing that out. I'm not your counselor, but just pointing that out. That one was for free.
Noted. Proud of. I think Little example, I was at a men's advance thing and something was said to me that it would have driven me nuts, but I got over it relatively easy. And I even processed it with my wife of like, whoa, I'm grateful. I'm really proud of that. And then, even I think the life that I'm living, there's been hard seasons of launching a nonprofit, young adults today, hard seasons, whether it was fundraising or events that we put on that we didn't know if anyone was going to come to. But to
Yeah.
see God move, I think we're seeing some things take shape that if we wouldn't have stuck with it, I don't think would have happened.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm so glad that you're called to that and not me. I don't know if I'd have the faith that you do. Thanks for doing that so we don't have to.
Bro, deep questions, and I noted your mirror to me. Okay, best advice you've ever been given.
Ooh, I've got two. One's not serious. The other one's serious. So the first one, don't be an idiot. Michael Scott to Dwight Schrute. Anytime I about to do something, I think, would an idiot do that? And if they wouldn't, I don't do that thing. Try not to. Now the second one, in all seriousness, had a period in my life, my early 20s. The plans that I had were falling apart, relationship blowing up. Reminds me of Proverbs 19. It's the Lord's purpose that prevails. Many are the plans in a man's heart. And my dad, who, I owe a lot to him, he sat me down and he said, Mike, sometimes when things are falling apart, in God's eyes, they're actually falling into place. And that's obviously stuck with me. And there's nothing worse than suffering pointlessly or without purpose. And a statement like that gave suffering purpose and meaning. So now when I'm going through something hard, I'm able to find purpose in that, meaning in that. That's the best advice I've ever been given.
Man.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels like when things are falling apart in God's eyes, they're falling into place.
Mm-hmm.
That is,
Again, wish I came up with that.
oh, that's worth ruminating on. Okay, closing question. If you could leave yourself as a 22-year-old or the listener, young leader, with one piece of advice today, what would it be?
Ooh, I didn't think about that, Josiah. That's a great question. This is one of those times where there's so much you'd want to say, but you can only pick one. But it's hard to know. Like, you've got one shot, don't screw it up.
Yeah, it's like Disney Pixar.
Yeah, that's right. You've got one shot, don't screw it up. Boy. Here's what I would tell myself or tell somebody else. When we look at scripture, is it Hebrews where it talks about he believed and it was credited to him as righteousness? He believed and it was credited to him as righteousness. As my wife and I have been starting this counseling business, it's easy to look at, here's what we should do, here's the steps that we should take, or even just here's the characteristics you need. But before all that, are we believing what God is saying to us? Could somebody say about us what they said about those great men, that they believed and it was credited to them as righteousness? When I was 22, I don't know if I was doing that. I think I was trying to do it all on my own, trying to be perfect. And I think I would go back and say, listen, just believe in the words of God, believe in his word, believe what he's telling you, even if it doesn't make any sense, and it will be credited to you as righteousness. I look at the life of David and his killing Goliath, and I don't think he did that because he was brave. I don't think the takeaway from that is be brave. I think the takeaway is David believed God's promises, even when everyone else was cowering. And it was credited to him. And if I could go back, I would tell myself that.
May faith rise in the listener's heart and mind and soul and spirit today. Mike, thanks so much for the vulnerability, for going first, for sharing a wealth of knowledge and insight. And I know my life is better as a result, and I trust the listeners is as well. If somebody's looking for therapy, Christian counseling, are you taking new clients? How can they track with you?
Yeah, well, thank you for asking. So we are Kerstetter Counseling. It's my wife and I owe a lot to my wife as well. I wouldn't be doing this without her. But she does a lot of the admin work, and I do the counseling. So you reach out to us at Michael at KerstetterCounseling.com or admin at KerstetterCounseling.com. We have a website, KerstetterCounseling.com. Yeah, well, we're taking new clients, and we're hoping to grow this as much as we can, because we really want to help the church and help the church be healthy. And we also want to help leaders as well, especially with some of the things that we talked about, like burnout and having thick skin and a tender heart. How do you keep that? And yeah, reach out to us there, and we'll give you a call, and we'd love to connect with you. We do take some insurances, and we're hoping to get more. We're hoping to be in network with more coming up here soon.
It's amazing. To close, I'm just reminded of 5 of the key themes that a generation seems to be asking. We recently did a state of young adult ministry and just an assessment on where are young adults and young adult ministries and leaders, what are they dealing with? And the first is the 5 biggest questions young adults are asking. Number 1, relationships are a major area of curiosity and uncertainty, Mike. Young adults are navigating identity and calling. The third is mental health and emotional discipleship are major needs.
Yeah.
Significant numbers in distress, and people want practical spiritual formation. Like, that's an exciting time to be in. And then, adulting, whether you call it finances and adulting, like young adults
Adulting. Is that
yeah.
still a term that we're using?
Oh, for
Adulting?
sure. Like, young adults feel underprepared for real life responsibilities. And so,
Yeah.
man, I just think that that's why we're leaning into a conversation like this, because as a leader, your mental health matters. Your holistic thriving and well being to flourish matters. And Mike, thanks so much for today's conversation.
Yeah, thank you.
What's up, guys? It's Josiah Keneally calling all young adult ministry leaders. Want to invite you August 12th and 13th right here to sunny Southern California. We're at Mariners Church for the Young Adults Today West Coast Leader Gathering. It's going to be 2 days jam-packed of relationships, community, times to gather together, share ideas, have roundtable discussions, share meals together. We're actually going to get to visit Thursdays at Mariners, which is a special young adult ministry. It's their weekend gathering with thousands of young adults right here on a Thursday night. That's part of the gathering. And so sign up, bring your team, and I can't wait to see you in Southern California in August in person. See you, fam.